Tonight, 3,000 arrests, $10 billion. Los Angeles is under federal siege.
Today, we are announcing the single largest coordinated law enforcement operation ever conducted on American soil against a narco-political alliance operating inside one of our greatest cities. That is the statement no one expected. Not from a podium in Washington, not about Los Angeles, and not with the number 3,000 attached to it. 3,000 arrests, $10 billion in illicit financial pipelines dismantled, 2.1 million fentanyl pills recovered in a single warehouse district alone, over 14 tons of narcotics seized across the greater Los Angeles basin, 47 elected or appointed officials implicated, and at the center of it all, a name that had appeared on campaign billboards, charity galas, and Sunday morning news panels for over a decade, a man the people of California thought they knew. This is the story of how the Sinaloa Cartel and elements of the Italian-American Mafia built a $10 billion drug and human trafficking pipeline through the beating heart of Los Angeles. How they purchased politicians, rewired law enforcement, hollowed out the ports, and turned the second-largest city in America into a continental distribution fortress. And how, on one freezing February morning, the full weight of the federal government came down on all of it at once. If you think you have heard stories about corruption before, I promise you, you have not heard anything like this, and the worst part has not even started yet. 4:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The streets of downtown Los Angeles are dead. A thin coastal fog has drifted inland, wrapping around the towers of the financial district, not smearing the red and white lights of the few cars still crawling along the 110. The homeless encampments along Skid Row are silent. The taco trucks on East 1st Street have gone dark. Somewhere near the river, a freight train moans its way south toward Long Beach. Nobody on those streets knows what is about to happen. At exactly 4:17 a.m., a signal goes out across 6 encrypted federal channels simultaneously. The word is one syllable: Keystone. And with that single word, Los Angeles changes forever. From the hills of Bel Air to the industrial flats of Wilmington, from the alleyways of Koreatown to the sprawling warehouses east of the Port of Los Angeles, over 1,600 federal agents begin to move. FBI hostage rescue teams, DEA strike units, ICE Homeland Security investigation squads, DHS tactical operators, wave SWAT teams drawn from 4 counties. They travel in unmarked black Suburbans, armored Bearcats, and blacked-out panel vans. Overhead, the rotors of 11 helicopters, 7 of them Blackhawks, cut through the fog in tight formation, running dark, no lights, no sirens, just the rhythmic thudding of blades against cold Pacific air. They hit 39 locations at once. In a gated compound in the hills above Pasadena, a DEA breach team detonates a flashbang through the second-floor window of a $7 million home owned on paper by a restaurant supply company. Inside, agents find 3 Sinaloa cartel lieutenants, 2 encrypted satellite phones still warm, a hidden safe room behind a bookcase containing $800,000 in vacuum-sealed cash, and a kilo of uncut cocaine sitting on a marble kitchen island like a centerpiece. Simultaneously, in a block of industrial units near the Port of Long Beach, FBI tactical teams smash through reinforced steel roll-up doors to uncover what agents on the ground will later call the most sophisticated drug superlab they have ever seen outside of Mexico. Twin processing lines for fentanyl pill pressing, capable of producing 300,000 pills per shift. Chemical precursors stacked in blue drums from floor to ceiling. A ventilation system more advanced than most hospital surgical suites. And 2.1 million finished fentanyl pills, stamped and sorted, ready for distribution, sitting in duffel bags on wooden pallets, organized by regional destination: Phoenix, Denver, Salt Lake City, Portland, Chicago. Down in Wilmington, ICE agents hit a row of nondescript houses along a quiet residential street. What they find inside is not drugs, it is people. 37 migrants, including 9 minors, locked in rooms with boarded windows, dehydrated, some showing signs of physical abuse. Ledgers on a kitchen table record payments, routes, and drop-off coordinates. A human trafficking transit hub operating for an estimated 14 months, feeding labor into cartel-controlled businesses across Southern California. In Koreatown, a SWAT team breaches what appears to be a massage parlor. Behind a false wall in the basement, they discover a communications hub. Rack-mounted servers, signal jamming equipment, and a monitoring station with live feeds from 17 surveillance cameras pointed at federal buildings, courthouses, and the FBI's own Los Angeles field office. They were watching us, one agent says into his radio. They were watching us the whole time. And then comes the discovery that changes everything. In the back office of a trucking company in Commerce, California, behind a floor safe that takes agents 40 minutes to cut open, they find a set of encrypted hard drives, a leather-bound ledger written in a mix of Spanish and coded Italian, and a sealed steel box containing 64 gold-embossed authorization cards, each one bearing a digital signature linked to wire transfers, property deeds, and shipping manifests. The signature belongs to a man named Raymond Calder, the sitting mayor of Los Angeles, or at least the fictional city's most powerful political figure. And the cards do not just connect him to the cartel, they connect him to the architecture of the entire operation. On 11:42 a.m., FBI Cyber Forensics Division, Los Angeles Field Office. The room is cold, lit by the pale blue glow of 14 monitors arranged in a curved array. Analysts from the FBI's Cyber Unit and Financial Crimes Division have been working the encrypted hard drives since they were delivered by armored courier at 6 a.m. The encryption is military-grade, 256-bit AES layered with a custom rotating cipher. It takes the team just under 5 hours to crack it, using a decryption key pattern found embedded in one of the gold authorization cards. What appears on the screens silences the room. A network diagram, hundreds of nodes, thousands of connections, shell companies registered in Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Cyprus. Ghost corporations with no employees and no offices, moving hundreds of millions of dollars through layers of sham charities, fake nonprofit foundations, a chain of coin-operated laundromats across the San Fernando Valley, a fleet of refrigerated trucks registered to a seafood distribution company, and a green energy consulting firm that had received $14 million in state grants over 5 years and never produced a single kilowatt of power. The operation has a name. Buried deep in the file architecture, repeated across hundreds of folders, is a code word: Meridian. Project Meridian is not a drug trafficking operation. It is a political, financial, logistical machine, a system designed from the ground up to funnel Sinaloa cartel narcotics into the United States through the Port of Los Angeles, launder the profits through a web of legitimate-looking businesses, and protect the entire apparatus using compromised officials at every level of city and county government. And Raymond Calder is not just connected to it. His encrypted digital authorization key appears on 312 separate transaction approvals, including payments to port inspectors, transfers to offshore accounts belonging to known Sinaloa intermediaries, and logistics memos coordinating tunnel construction beneath properties in Otay Mesa and Calexico. But it goes deeper. The Mafia connection, which initial intelligence had treated as secondary, turns out to be structural. A faction of the old Italian-American Mafia syndicate based in Los Angeles had served as the domestic financial backbone of Project Meridian for years. They ran the laundering. They managed the real estate portfolio. Over 200 properties across Los Angeles County, purchased through shell entities, used as stash houses, transit points, and safe havens. They brokered the relationships between Sinaloa logistics chiefs and corrupt American officials. They were the bridge. This is not corruption. This is command-level collusion between an international drug cartel, an organized crime syndicate, and a sitting political leader of one of the largest cities in the Western Hemisphere. This is not negligence. This is engineered treason against the people of Los Angeles, and the operation has only begun. 5 a.m. the following morning, Joint Federal Command Center, Edwards Air Force Base, north of Los Angeles. Inside a secure briefing room that normally coordinates air combat exercises, a different kind of war is being planned. A massive digital map dominates the front wall, and across it, 114 red markers pulse like heartbeats in cities and towns spanning all of Southern California. Los Angeles, Long Beach, Pasadena, Riverside, San Bernardino, Bakersfield, Oxnard, San Diego, Palm Springs, and a dozen smaller communities between them. Each marker represents a confirmed node in the Meridian network. Drug labs, stash houses, financial offices, human trafficking waypoints, tunnel entrances, communication relays, properties owned by shell companies traced back to the ledger. The briefing commander, a senior DHS official, addresses the room. Over 2,000 federal agents from the FBI, DEA, ICE, DHS, and U.S. Marshals Service are now deployed across the operational theater. They are joined by 12 SWAT teams, 4 Black Hawk helicopter squadrons, 2 C-130 surveillance aircraft providing real-time overhead imaging, and in a show of force along the southern border, a detachment of U.S. Army military police units and a U.S. Navy coastal patrol vessel stationed off the port of Long Beach to interdict any maritime escape routes. The operation name is Meridian Collapse, and at 5:22 a.m., it launches. In the desert east of Palmdale, a DEA strike team raids a sprawling compound disguised as an agricultural storage facility. Inside, they find 6 tons of methamphetamine in crystalline form, packed in 50-pound bags and stacked in a temperature-controlled underground vault. The street value alone exceeds $400 million. 3 cartel operatives are taken into custody. A 4th attempts to flee in a pickup truck across open desert and is stopped by a Black Hawk that drops a tactical team directly into his path. In the hills above Malibu, FBI agents serve a warrant on a 12,000-square-foot mansion belonging to a man named Enzo Ferrante, a name that appears 17 times in the Meridian ledger as a financial coordinator. Ferrante is found in his home theater, calmly watching television. In his office, agents discover a second server farm, backup copies of the entire Meridian financial network, and a handwritten list of 23 law enforcement officers across 5 agencies, each with a monthly payment amount next to their name. In Calexico, near the Mexican border, a joint ICE and Border Patrol tactical unit discovers a tunnel, not a crude smuggling passage, but a professionally engineered concrete corridor, 7 feet tall, ventilated, lit with LED strips, and running for nearly half a mile beneath the border. Inside, agents find a railcart system, packages of heroin totaling an estimated 2 tons, and fresh tire tracks indicating the tunnel had been used within the last 48 hours. In San Bernardino, agents raid a strip mall that houses a check-cashing business, a cell phone repair shop, and a tax preparation office, all 3 operated by the same shell entity. Behind the tax office, they find a room full of communications equipment and a dozen burner phones, each programmed with the personal cell numbers of county officials, Port Authority supervisors, and state legislators. Across the basin, in Riverside, ICE agents shut down a migrant smuggling corridor operating out of a motel. 41 individuals are recovered. Documents seized at the scene reveal a pricing structure: $8,000 per person for transport from the border to Los Angeles, $12,000 for documents and placement in a cartel-affiliated business. Children cost more because they require more coordination to move undetected. By noon, over 900 additional arrests have been made. Combined with the first night's operations, the total now exceeds 3,000. The seizure count has climbed to 14 tons of mixed narcotics, over 300 firearms, $62 million in cash, and enough encrypted data to keep forensic analysts busy for years. The underworld infrastructure in Southern California took more damage in 30 hours than it had sustained in the previous 30 years. But the deepest wound was yet to come. Inside a secured floor of the federal building in downtown Los Angeles, investigators begin the painstaking process of cross-referencing seized servers, financial logs, internal emails, patrol records, and communication intercepts. What they uncover is a betrayal so systematic it reads like fiction. 112 law enforcement officers across the LAPD, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection are identified in the Meridian files as active assets of the cartel network. They were not all bought the same way. Some received monthly cash payments ranging from $2,000 to $15,000. Others were given properties, vehicles, or tuition payments for their children. Or a few were compromised through blackmail, photographs, recordings, debts. Their roles were precise. Certain patrol officers were assigned to falsify grid reports, ensuring that specific streets and intersections were left unmonitored during drug transit windows. Border agents at the San Isidro and Otay Mesa crossings were paid to wave through specific vehicles on specific nights. Vehicles later confirmed to be carrying multi-ton narcotics loads. 3 senior sergeants in the LAPD's narcotics division had been feeding raid schedules directly to a Sinaloa liaison, giving the cartel hours or sometimes days of advance warning before any enforcement action. A deputy police chief, a fictional figure named Terrence Morrow, a 31-year veteran of the department, is arrested at his home at 6:14 a.m. on the second day. The evidence against him is overwhelming. Morrow had personally restructured patrol assignments in South Los Angeles to create what analysts describe as a permanent corridor, a path through the city where cartel vehicles could move product from the port to inland distribution points without ever encountering a police unit. An honest detective, whose name is withheld, gives a statement that leaks to federal investigators. "I reported anomalies in the patrol grid 3 times. 3 times. Each time the report disappeared. I thought the system was broken. Now I understand. The system was working exactly as it was designed to work. It just was not designed for us." Then federal agents also arrest a sitting state court judge, a fictional jurist named Patricia Okafor, who had dismissed or reduced charges in 47 drug trafficking cases over 4 years, each one involving defendants linked to Meridian-affiliated entities. Her offshore account in the Cayman Islands held $2.3 million. What the investigators are looking at is not a corrupted police force. It is a parallel enforcement system, a second shadow structure layered on top of legitimate law enforcement, answering not to the people of Los Angeles, but to the Sinaloa Cartel and its mafia financial partners, all coordinated through the office of Raymond Calder. The badge in this city, one federal prosecutor says, will have to be rebuilt from the ground up, but the map does not end at the Los Angeles county line. When analysts zoom out from Project Meridian's local network and begin tracing the logistics chains, the scope becomes continental. Refrigerated trucks registered to the Seafood Distribution Front Company were making scheduled runs to Phoenix, Albuquerque, Denver, Salt Lake City, Omaha, Kansas City, Chicago, and Detroit. Each route had a corresponding set of way station shutdowns, maintenance closures timed to the hour, authorized by state transportation officials who received payments routed through Meridian shell companies. Agricultural shipping routes through the Central Valley moved product north to Portland and Seattle under the cover of legitimate produce hauling. Port manifests at Long Beach had been systematically altered for years. Container weights adjusted, inspection flags removed, and customs holds quietly lifted, allowing an estimated 3 tons of mixed narcotics to enter the country per week through maritime channels alone. And the human trafficking corridors were just as vast. Routes from the border to Los Angeles branched outward to labor markets across the West, construction sites in Nevada, agricultural operations in Oregon, service industry businesses in Colorado, each one feeding workers into cartel-controlled enterprises that reported clean payrolls and paid taxes, all while operating as nodes in a modern slave trade. The final file recovered from the Meridian archive is the one that chills investigators to silence. It is titled Phase 3, and it is dated 18 months into the future. The document outlines a plan to expand Calder's political influence to the state level, cultivating candidates for the state legislature, funding judicial campaigns, and positioning allies within the California Attorney General's office. The explicit goal, written in plain language, is to create what the document calls permanent operational security, a political environment in which cartel logistics could function without meaningful legal threat for a generation. They were not just moving drugs through Los Angeles. They were redesigning the entire political infrastructure of Southern California to serve the cartel, permanently. The city was not infiltrated, it was being converted. And if Meridian had reached Phase 3 unchallenged, the transformation would have been irreversible. So here is where we land. There's 3,000 people arrested, 14 tons of narcotics seized, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, enough poison to kill millions, $10 billion in illicit financial pipelines shattered, 200 properties seized, a tunnel network dismantled, a human trafficking operation shut down, over 100 corrupt officers, officials, and judges exposed, and one man, Raymond Calder, who stood behind a podium for years and talked about community safety, economic development, and the future of Los Angeles, while behind every word, he was building a narco-political empire in partnership with the Sinaloa Cartel and the remnants of the American Mafia. Power does not always announce itself with violence. Sometimes it needs nothing more than silence, patience, and ambition. It moves into office buildings and courthouses. It signs grants and approves budgets. It shakes hands at fundraisers and smiles for cameras. And all the while, it hollows out the institutions that are supposed to protect you, replacing them with something that serves only itself. The real cost of Project Meridian is not measured in dollars or tons. It is measured in the 17-year-old in Riverside who swallowed a fentanyl pill pressed in a Long Beach warehouse and never woke up. In the family in Bakersfield that buried their father after a heroin overdose and never knew the drugs that killed him traveled through a tunnel built with the approval of their own mayor's office. In the 41 migrants locked in a motel room in San Bernardino, waiting to be sold into labor, while a city official's name sat on the paperwork that made it possible. This story is fictional. Now, it is a dramatization, but the forces it describes, the intersection of cartel logistics, political corruption, and institutional betrayal, are not fiction. They are the architecture of a threat that operates in the space between what we see and what we are willing to believe. If you are still here, if you watched this far, tap like so more people see this story. Share it. Comment the word expose if you believe that corruption at every level deserves to be dragged into the light. And subscribe, because this is not the last story we are going to tell. The fog has lifted over Los Angeles, but the work of seeing clearly, that has only just begun. This story is entirely fictional and created for dramatic storytelling purposes. All characters and events are invented,